from the CBS Bay Area studios, this is KPIX 5 News.
Well, welcome back. It's just about 6:30. Good morning. I'm Devin.
And I'm Melissa Caen. And folks near the Chevron oil refinery in Richmond may have noticed an unusual flare at the facility overnight. Now, this is a video supplied to us by a viewer. Now, Chevron did send KPIX 5 a brief explanation just within the past half hour, saying that there was some flaring activity. The company says it was caused by a, quote, process unit upset. The company says it does not pose any environmental or health risk. And new limits this morning on free tickets to concerts and other events for Oakland politicians.
The changes come in the wake of a KPIX 5 investigation. In 2016, we broke the story about city council members going to Warriors games in a luxury suite for free. They claimed they were there for, quote, oversight of the facilities. Now, yesterday, the Coliseum Authority voted to adopt new rules to stop the abuse. Each board member will now only have access to 5 games or events. A reporting form must be completed when the tickets are given out, and board members will be asked to contact the Coliseum Authority if they see or hear anything concerning.
This will ensure that members are not abusing tickets and using them for personal reasons or things of that nature.
The city of Oakland is also working on its own new policy for council members who use free tickets.
And Vallejo's police chief is just weeks away from retirement, and there's new controversy about his income. Andrew Badu has been the police chief during 3 fatal police shootings in the city, and that includes the killing in February of a man who passed out at a Taco Bell drive-thru. Now, new questions about the chief's future income. The Chronicle crunched the numbers and found that when he retires on April 30th, he'll begin receiving a pension of $19,000 a month. And on top of that, he'll make $20,000 a month as a contract worker for the city because he'll be Vallejo's interim police chief. And this all appears to be legal. We did reach out to the city manager's office for comment, and we have yet to hear back.
Some positive news this morning about the Oakland boy who accidentally shot himself last month. His family says that he is now awake and out of the ICU.
Nobody expected something good to come out of the bad, but it's wonderful.
4-year-old Navon Jackson's mother says doctors thought he would be brain dead after accidentally shooting himself in the head. But now Navon is able to move his legs and arms. His mother says the breakthrough happened when she started talking in his ear about food.
I started talking about food and he started moving his head. So that was just like, okay. And then my daughter came up here and then he tried to get out the hospital bed. He was trying to get out. I'm going. I'm not dealing with this. I'm going with my sister.
Doctors tell the family it will be a long recovery. Navon remains at Oakland's Children's Hospital for therapy that he receives 5 days a week. It's unclear how long he will be in the hospital for treatment. Again, falling chunks of concrete have damaged a vehicle. It happened about 9:30 last night. 2 pieces of concrete, each about the size of a baseball, fell onto a woman's car as she drove eastbound on the lower deck. The problem of falling concrete initially made news back in February. The Richmond-San Rafael Bridge has been in operation since 1956. The bridge, which is a segment of Interstate 580, remains open right now. But Caltrans has begun an $8 million project to repair the bridge, so lane closures and heavy traffic are common. The woman whose vehicle was hit by concrete last night was not injured.
And new details this morning. The governor is expanding his state of emergency for areas still recovering from February's devastating flooding. He's adding 8 new counties now, including Napa, Santa Cruz, and Solano. February's storms, of course, caused widespread flooding, mudslides, and damaged critical infrastructure. The governor's emergency proclamations direct Caltrans to request immediate assistance from the federal government. Meanwhile, Governor Newsom is responding to the president. Mr. Trump says he is strongly considering releasing migrants into sanctuary cities like San Francisco. Betty Yu has the story.
California certainly is always saying, oh, we want more people, and they want more people in their sanctuary cities. Well, we'll give them more people. We can give them a lot. We can give them an unlimited supply.
Governor Gavin Newsom fired back at the president's plan.
It's illegal. It's immoral. It's unethical. It's sophomoric, it's petulant, and it's par for the course.
So did Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf.
The idea that this administration could use human beings, families, children, to exact political vengeance on enemies is outrageous.
Sanctuary cities that get Americans killed.
UC Hastings law professor Hadar Aviram says busing migrants from the border to other cities raises legal and practical questions. But ultimately, she believes Trump is playing to his base ahead of 2020.
By all means, let the immigrants come and, who knows, maybe one of the kids of these families seeking asylum is going to grow up to be the next Steve Jobs. That's not the issue. The issue is, why are you taking these people in buses over here just to prove a point?
She says sanctuary cities embrace immigrants, but these people are being used as political pawns.
Well, I think it would just be incredibly inefficient. Like, it wouldn't work. I mean, there are bigger issues going on at the border that need to be handled.
I would be curious to see it happen. My hope would be that we would, as a city, come together and prove him wrong, that we would rally and show that we are a welcoming place.
Betty Yu, KPIX 5.
Now, San Jose Mayor Sam Liccardo says his city is already 40% immigrants, and he sent us this statement saying, quote, if the federal government decides they want to release detained immigrant families into San Jose, we will happily accept any family that has struggled through so much hardship and taken such great risk to want to be part of our country.
The family of a woman stabbed to death at a BART station has filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the transit agency. In court documents, the plaintiffs contend that, quote, had BART taken adequate measures to prevent ferry evaders from entering BART stations, platforms, or trains, Nia Wilson would not have died. Nia Wilson and her two sisters were at the MacArthur BART station in Oakland last summer when investigators say a serial ferry evader suddenly attacked. John Lee Cowell is charged in connection with Wilson's fatal stabbing. He is currently awaiting a mental competency hearing in criminal court. Now, BART responded, quote, we continue to express our deepest condolences to the friends and family of Nia Wilson, but do not comment on potential or pending litigation.
And those little bottles of shampoo and other toiletries, well, they may be soon a thing of the past at hotels in California. Now, a bill now working its way through the state assembly would ban those free single-use plastic bottles. Now, the bill's backers say this is an effort to help the environment by reducing plastic waste. Democrat Ash Kalra of San Jose is a co-author of the bill.
California alone used hundreds of millions of single-use plastic bottles of lotion, shampoo, conditioner that they give to their customers all throughout the year.
Last year, Santa Cruz County became the first county in California to ban those small bottles, and that ban will take effect late next year.
A fix is in the works to deal with the big backup of cars on San Francisco's famous Crooked Street. Assemblyman Phil Ting is proposing to let the city charge fees and set up a reservation system. Neighbors have been grumbling for years about the traffic jam and are pushing the city to move forward with the plan next week. Now, meanwhile, one of San Francisco's oldest Muni lines is now a century old. 100 years ago, the city's Taraval line was launched into service. The light rail takes riders from downtown to the city's Parkside neighborhood. And check this out, some historic pictures of what the L looked like in the early 20th century. That's the Twin Peaks tunnel on Market and Castro Streets back in 1935. The city was still in the early stages of development back then.
And see if you recognize these three women. Vacaville police say these women snatched thousands of dollars worth of sunglasses from the Vacaville premium outlets. Police say one employee was assaulted and injured during the robbery. And two suspects are in custody and another still at large after an attempted armed robbery at a camera shop in Santa Rosa. Well, this happened on Thursday morning at the Shutterbug camera store on Santa Rosa Avenue. One worker says he saw one of the suspects stuffing camera lenses into his backpack. And surveillance video shows this wild scene when employees of the shop managed to catch two of the suspects, lock the door, and call 911.
And during that struggle, there was actually a loaded 9mm handgun that one of the suspects dropped onto the floor of the business.
Now, one of the workers quickly grabbed that gun and secured it away from the suspects. An employee was also bitten on the forearm during the struggle. The two who were detained were arrested on suspicion of armed robbery and booked, one into jail, the other into juvenile hall.
A man is facing charges for setting off a homemade rocket. San Francisco police responded to calls about an explosion on Leavenworth Street 9 days ago. Now, on Wednesday, they arrested the suspect at Webster and Bush. Police searched Scott Campbell's home and found rocket building materials. He's being held on explosive charges and an outstanding DUI warrant. Police say that witnesses to the rocket blast helped identify Campbell.
President Trump says he wants to win the race for worldwide 5G.
Secure 5G networks will absolutely be a vital link to America's prosperity and national security in the 21st century. The race to 5G is a race.
The president was joined by Federal Communications Commission in Washington, D.C. yesterday. The agency plans to auction off 5G spectrum airwaves to phone providers in December. This comes as the U.S. is facing competition from other countries, especially China, all racing to build up their 5G networks.
The jump to 4G enabled a whole bunch of different apps like Uber and live streaming. With 5G, we should see a whole bunch of new apps and programs that really take advantage of that faster connection.
5G promises to bring those fast connections to both internet and cell phones. The White House says it could also open up new industries.
Los Gatos-based Netflix is the target of an unusual protest, not from picketers on the ground, but a plane in the sky. Here, take a look. The plane pulled a banner saying, "Netflix, protect women, stop filming in Georgia." It's a reference to a bill that would ban abortion after 6 weeks of pregnancy. Georgia's governor has not signed it yet. The women's advocacy group Ultraviolet is behind the banner. More than 22,000 people have signed a petition supporting the Georgia ban, including dozens of celebrities. It is time for us to call it a morning. Thank you for watching KPIX 5 News this morning.
We'll be back here tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock.